need a translation. Chitra, I don't know if anyone else is here, are they?
Actually, everyone's speaking English here, Maharaj. Do you want a translation for the...
I don't know, volunteers, I don't know.
No, it's okay.
D'accord? Okay. Perhaps for those who are not familiar, there is a book with a song, Jai Radha Madhava. Some of our guests may would like one. We start with a song which is very short but very deep about nature of spirit or spiritual world. Jai Radha Madhava. Ladies, we have some books for ladies. Your brother knows?
Yeah.
In some ways, this is like sometimes we see advertisements to go to a beautiful place for a holiday or somewhere like that. Advertisement. And in some ways, this little song can be a little like that. Advertisement, attracting our hearts for something a little higher than material pleasure. Little description of Krishna and Krishna's off the throat. Thank you. I thought it was grapes at first. I thought there were these tiny grapes that you can get on the market. Thank you very much. I need one. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janabalabha Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biharini Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pachadine Nivasesha Sunyavari Pastichade Shatadine. Text 24, correct? Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 15, text number 24. Kindly repeat. Tasmai Sa Naradevaya Munir Aharnam Aharat Sasainyatmatya Vahaya Vishmatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sanaradevaya Muni Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Havishmatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sana Naradevaya Munir Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Avismatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sanaradevaya Munir Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Avismatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sanaradevaya Muni Aharnam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vihaya Avismatya Tapodanaha
Tasmai Sanaradevaya
Tasmai Sanaradevaya
Sasainya Matya Vaya
Sasainya Matya Vahaya
Avismatya Tapodana
Avishmatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sanaradevaya Muni Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Havishmatya Tapodanaha. Tasmai Sanaradevaya Muni Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Avishmatya Tapodanaha Tasmai Sanaradevaya Muni Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Avishmatya Tapodanaha Muni Arhanam Aharat Sasainya Matya Vahaya Avishmatya Tapodanaha Tasmai unto him Saha He Jamadagni Nadadevaya unto King Karta Viryarjuna. Long one. Karta Viryarjuna. Munihi, the great sage. Arhanam, paraphernalia for worship. Aharat, offered. Sasanya, with his soldiers. Amatya, his ministers. Vahaya, and the chariots. The elephants, the horses, or the men who carried the palanquins. Havishmatya, because of possessing a kamadenu, a cow that could supply everything. Tapadanaha, the great sage, whose only power was his austerity, or who was engaged in austerity. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The sage, it's okay, Jamadagni, who was engaged in great austerities in the forest, received the king very well, along with the king's soldiers, ministers, and carriers. He supplied all the necessities to worship these guests, for he possessed a Kamadenu cow that was able to supply everything. You need one of those here? Yes. The problem is, we may misuse the Kamadenu. So Krishna doesn't give us something that will be detrimental for our spiritual lives. Other ways he could give. But we may not be yet qualified to utilize such, let's say, powerful facilities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the Brahma Samhita, for those who don't know, this is a very famous scripture originally spoken by Lord Brahma, who is described in the ancient Vedas as the name of the Creator. The Brahma Samhita informs us that the spiritual world, and especially the planet Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna lives, is full of Surabhi cows. Surabhir abhipalayantam chintamani prakara satmasa kalpa vriksha. The Surabhi cow. The Surabhi cow is also called Kamadenu. Although Jamadagni possessed only one Kamadenu, he was able to get from it everything desirable. Thus, he was able to receive the king, along with the king's great number of followers, ministers, soldiers, animals, and palanquin carriers. When we speak of a king, we understand that he is accompanied by many followers. Jamadagni was able to receive all the king's followers properly and feed them sumptuously with food prepared in ghee. The king was astonished at how opulent Jamadagni was because of possessing only one cow. And therefore he became envious of the great sage. This was the beginning of his offense. Parashuram, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, killed Kartavirya Arjuna because Kartavirya Arjuna was too proud. One may possess unusual opulence in this material world, but if one becomes puffed up and acts whimsically, he will be punished by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the lesson to learn from this history in which Parashurama became angry at Kartaviryarjuna and killed him and rid the entire world of Kshatriyas 21 times. Om Ajnanaatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshoranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Shvayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So this topic of pride, as Srila Prabhupada describes as the essential lesson to learn in this pastime. Pride comes, they say, before a fall. Pride, our very existence in this material conditioned life, where we identify ourselves in the center, whatever our karmic position may be, we see ourselves in the center. In general, is envy and pride go pretty much together. Same coin, two sides. Here we're seeing pride, but it's very related to envy. This king, Kartavirya is becoming envious of Jamadagni. Jamadagni was a great sage. Materially speaking, what does a sage need? Hardly anything for his own needs. But here we see, to receive guests. There are other indirect lessons in this pastime. The reception of guests. You would think in the forest, a great sage, how could he receive such an entourage, a king with his entourage? We struggle sometimes. If we suddenly heard that the President of France and all the ministers and so on, the members of Parliament were all coming here this morning for breakfast, we would have a bit of a panic on our hands. because they probably would not come alone either. They would no doubt have many assistants and secretaries, bodyguards, maybe military. We were in Marseille a few days ago, and as we were going for Harinam on the main street, immediately in front of us at the beginning, 13 police vans were parked.
Just for you.
Just for us, yeah. 13. We counted them. And dozens of policemen with big guns, not little ones. And up the street were more policemen with guns. And we found out that the first minister was about to arrive there. First Minister of France, whatever that is. So, presumably, they were there not to shoot him or to arrest him, but as part of his, not entourage exactly, but a part of his bodyguard or something like that. They were also there, and I was sure he came with a... You see them sometimes going along the highway, maybe a dozen cars in one line, huh? Police cars, armed cars, special cars, dignitaries. So cool. That's just for what we say in this material. Not so great personalities necessarily, although maybe in a position of greatness, relatively. So what to speak of kings, particularly in the past. The kings never go alone. You have a whole army with them usually. You don't just suddenly turn up and you get a phone call from, Châteauroux train station. Hello, this is the king of... I don't know many kings left in the world. Oh, we have a king in England. The King of England, I'm at Châteauroux railway station. Could someone come and pick me up? No, we're too busy. Wait for the bus. Obviously not. Wouldn't happen. And if they suddenly turned up, we may be a little bit more equipped here, but if you were living as a sage in the forest and a big king with all of his ministers and chariots and warriors and animals and so on, all arrived, the first thing you're supposed to do is to receive them, according to one's means, of course, properly. So the king received them way beyond expectation. Way beyond. So opulently. Huh? We cannot envision how opulently he received the guests. Uninvited atiti, one should be prepared. Prabhupada wanted that. We may not be doing it as much as we'd like, but certainly Prabhupada wanted that atiti, uninvited guests, are properly received. And here he's receiving, and now the reason he's receiving it is not like he's got himself a huge entourage to assist him. He hasn't got a huge kitchen with enormous storerooms. He's just got one Kamadhenu. And if you listened earlier on, you may have remembered that a Kamadhenu is another name for the cows of the spiritual world called Surabhi. They do sometimes come into this world, and they also, at least from the material point of view, provide whatever is needed. There are trees in the spiritual world called Kalpavriksha trees, which also, imagine a tree, we can't even get apples from our apple trees. Right? Struggle. Plums from the plum tree, you'll be lucky. And then they'll be sour, perhaps, if you get them sometimes. You get some persimmon, and they're like cricket balls. But what to speak if you have an apple tree? Oh, Where are you going? I'm going to pick some mangoes. But that's an apple tree. No. It's a kalpavriksha tree. I'm going to get some apples. No, I'm going to get mangoes, bananas, oranges, anything you want. It's a desire of people in this world. We do see sometimes fiction which depicts these impossibilities in the eyes of conditioned souls. But we would like to imagine the existence of such facilities. What to speak of a Sarabi or Kamadhenu cow from whom you can get all your needs. It's not just milk. What does a sage need? Practically, milk doesn't need much more. But if necessary, from there he's providing a huge feast. The Kamadhenu cow, don't ask me how, but the Kamadhenu cow is providing all the ingredients and necessities for a huge reception and a feast and everything. Well, that's just one of Krishna's, let's say, energies, expansions in the form of Sarabi. Imagine how envious one, if one was a little proud, imagine how envious one would be of somebody who had something more than we've got. Have you ever met anyone who's got more than you've got? You have or not? Yes. You haven't. Well, you may not be very envious or may not even be interested in what they've got. Maybe a little bit realized. What's the point of it? But if one is really materialistic, one becomes maybe a little jealous. Wars are fought over this. Religions fight with these so-called religions. Fight with each other. People compete with each other. I remember when we were kids, we were in an age when, let's say, technology was not very developed compared to today in one sense. I mean, a washing machine was unheard of. I mean, you could go up the list. I mean, that's going back a while, isn't it? Televisions were kind of heard of, but not seen. Can you imagine? We got our first television maybe when I was 10 years old or something. And I remember every time my mother would get so, I don't know if you call it envy, but kind of, where the neighbor in the street obtained a new, machine, like a moped, if you know what that is. No, moped is? Yeah. Like a little motor bicycle, huh? Nobody had a motor bicycle in our street. No one had a car, for sure. And when someone got a washing machine, it was a pretty antique model. It was like, we've got to get a washing machine. Then a few years later, a fridge. We've got to have a fridge. We didn't know what they were before. There was no thought of needing it. This is the nature, isn't it? The material world. Because we're missing a major point. And then, what then of television? Television. Have to have a television. And the same thing now. You see the advertisement. You see someone else with the latest gadget. Yeah. Many people, they want it. They got to get it. Beg, borrow, or steal. Got to get it. This is envy. It's related pride, which means seeing oneself as the enjoyer. Even a pauper, they say. You know pauper? You know this word, pauper? Poverty-stricken person, huh? A pauper. One who has no wealth. A pauper in English. Maybe a beggar or something. A pauper is proud of his penny. And you see them. They'll fight over a penny. I've seen. Or a cent. Get really angry. It's mine. Pride, thinking this is mine. And they want more. It's not just, king who's taking advantage. Everybody in this world has, to some degree, this tendency. And when someone has something more, depending on what condition we're in, we may not care less if they're in a different mode, it doesn't relate to us. But if it's especially someone in a similar mode, we aspire, I want it. This is common. Competition. But we're missing the point. And the result of this pride is, we can see here, especially in spiritual life, it's very, blatant, it's very clear. That this pride, initially, of course, this pride is seeing oneself in the center and being envious that God is in the center. Even now, even though we say yes, maybe we do believe in God, we're still inflicted with pride, sometimes envy of Him. Why? He seems to have it all for Himself. Oh, he just has to serve or something. So it's not our nature, we're not happy. We're proud, we're envious, whatever it is, and we're still not happy. Even if you've got all the wealth in the world, still we're not happy. Here's another in the previous canto, pastime of King Bali, who did have all the wealth in the universe, practically. Practically. And when he offered to a Brahmin, this is the other way around this time, the king is offering to the Brahmin, take whatever you like. Although he appeared to be proud in one sense, he was offering everything. He wasn't proud in that sense. And what did Vamana ask for? Just 3 paces of land. He was a little boy. Would not even cover maybe 4 of these tiles here. Maybe 5 at most. What is that? You can't even grow a few rose bushes on there. Not enough to make the one garland for the deity. But he said, that's all I want. If I'm not satisfied with 3 paces of land, I will not be satisfied with the whole universe. Of course, he took the whole universe, but that's another thing. Never satisfied. This is the unique factor, is even if we get what we think we want, we're still not satisfied. We want more. We want more. Or we find ourselves with somebody who wants what we've got. And there's another problem. Or we get what we thought we wanted and we're not satisfied with it. Right? Or we lose it. Which is inevitable in this world. So this pride and envy, which are 2 of the described like enemies of the soul, we are driven almost by their powerful presence, overwhelmed by them. Why? Because we identify with this body, we identify with this world, and we do not identify with Krishna. Everyone in this material world is more or less, even up to the highest planet, where the elevated living beings are still seeing themselves as the enjoyer. So pride is basically that we see ourselves as the enjoyer. And if God exists, what is He for? What is His purpose?
Supplying.
A supplier. He's the Maha Kamadhenu. You have to give me everything, otherwise I don't want you anymore. I don't believe in you anymore. We see God as my supplier. Our supplier. Even in religion, sometimes it's thought that is almost a symptom of religiosity. That you're economically well situated. that is often used as a tool to entice people. I think you do that here, don't you? Is that how you do it? Opulence, right? You offer people opulent apartments. Opulent, maybe the prasadam is there. Nice warm rooms. Don't have to work very hard. A few hours a day, that's enough. Come to the morning program if you like it. Cushy life, huh? Not exactly. I remember one time in New Zealand they had this, I've got to watch the clock because our workers are coming soon. 15 minutes, right? They had this exchange program and for some reason the devotees joined it. There was this one famous man, previously all black. I mean, he played for New Zealand at rugby. They're the big people of New Zealand. And then we had some program. On this program, it was a kind of a swap your occupation program. For 1 week, you joined something or another. You gave up your own occupation as a rugby player or a policeman or whatever, fireman, doctor, and you join something else. There would be a selection. I don't know if you had a choice, I can't remember. But regularly we get them coming to stay with our ashram in New Zealand for a week. A rugby, international rugby player, a policeman, They'd have to stay in the shave up everything. It was quite a laugh, I tell you. It was quite something. New Zealand's like that. You know New Zealanders. People there are just so open. They respect everyone, They really do, don't they? Yes. They go out of their way not to say a bad word about anyone, even if the rest of the world condemns them. They're kind of a different brew. I don't know how that would go down here in France, but it is. Many times. This one guy from the army came and stayed. He couldn't handle a week in the ashram. He couldn't handle a week. I can't bear this any longer, Getting up at 3 a.m, taking a cold shower, sitting there like a blooming cabbage, eating fish. He thought, this is 100 times harder than the army. He couldn't bear it, Regulated principles. Whoo! Going on the street, they had to go on the street, dance and chant on the street with a bald head and night dress on, bed sheets, paint on their foreheads. They had to do the whole thing, It was quite far out. And some of them really got into it. I know. I can't remember. There was one guy, I think it was the rugby one. He really got into it. He kind of pretty much took it up, He took it on board in his life. A bit of Krishna consciousness. But it's not exactly, you could say, the kind of, sometimes people used to become envious of devotees. I remember in Detroit, some of our devotees, they were from a very rich families. Alfred Ford, great-grandson of Henry Ford. He was very rich. And the descendant of, what's his name, Luther, that,
Chrysler family.
What was her name again?
Mahasi?
Yeah.
From Chrysler family?
Something, I can't hear it, but something like that. Yeah. And they were devotees. They both became full-time, full-on Hare Krishnas. And they had huge access to wealth. They purchased a very opulent building in Detroit for a temple. And it was a big, on the river, big boathouse, and everything was, all very European, design. It was so opulent. I've been there a few times. Very opulent building. They purchased it for a temple. They had the money. And people were becoming envious, Hare Krishna. They had cars. And Prabhupada said, just tell them, come and join. If you're envious, just come and join. You're welcome. You're welcome. But they wouldn't. That's not what we're here for. Devotee, even if he has opulence, that's not what we are here for. We're here to serve Krishna. We're here to offer that to Krishna. Envy is cured, pride is cured by utilizing whatever we have in the service of Krishna. Not asking, and one of the basic, fundamental, let's say, statements, Nadanam Najanam Sundaram Kavitam Vajagarisha Kamaya, isn't it? The Lord Chaitanya's, every morning we chant the Shastaka prayers. My Lord, I have no desire for what? Wealth, huh? No desire for, what else? Pardon? Followers. No desire for followers. No desire for enjoying beautiful women, or if you're in a woman's body, men. We have no desire for these things. Can you imagine? Sometimes we meet people on the street and, they found out, or you tell them maybe, we don't eat meat, we don't drink liquor, we don't take intoxicant, we don't have illicit sex outside, what means no sex outside of marriage and then only for procreation. We don't gamble, we don't pray, we may do, but didn't used to. We don't play sports, frivolous sports, and this, that, the other. We don't go to cinemas, we don't go to restaurants, we don't go on holidays to Côte d'Azur. We don't do all these things. We don't watch television. We don't read the newspaper. We don't go to the cinema. We don't go to the golf course. We don't go, whatever it is, this thing, that thing, you name it. We don't do these things. My God, people would say, I'd rather be dead. There's nothing left. That's all there is. I only work for that, right? Nothing else. Okay, I like your prasadam. Sometimes you could say that's one thing that is perhaps a little attractive to people in general. Not always. But otherwise, it's like, whoa, especially when it's getting up early in the morning. My parents wanted to send me to the psychiatrist when I started getting up in the morning at 4 o'clock and taking a cold shower. I was living at home at the time, before I joined. It's like, some people do that, by the way. But in general, no, it's like life dead. It's like, you're dead. You're dead. They don't understand. With all that endeavor, Kartiva Arjuna or anyone, to get these things, they think he's got something, let me get it. I need to enjoy that. This is why animal killing is also envy, by the way. We want that body. I want to enjoy it. Any desire to enjoy another's body is based on a principle of envy. They've got something, I want to enjoy it. Whole material world is based on this. Different modes. So transform that. That is Krishna's energy. That Kamadhenu is Krishna's energy to be used in Krishna's service. Nothing else. Whatever it is, wealth, beauty, strength, opulences of various kinds, fame, everything is for Krishna. And this is how the transformation takes place, learning this process of utilizing whatever we've got due to karma, ultimately gifts of the Lord. We cannot make any elements in this world. We can only play with them like children. We can't make them. They're created beyond us. Atheists, of course, their philosophy is chance. Therefore, envy is not a problem because there is no one else anyway. But for those who are God-fearing, godly or spiritually inclined, they understand that we're not the proprietor. Krishna is Bhaktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the enjoyer. He's the proprietor. He's the friend of all. And if we live our life with that as the center, Prabhupada called this, one time he went for a peace rally in 1967, I guess. In 66, maybe 7, in New York. The Vietnam War just started. Peace rallies. Now we have Ukraine war. Peace rallies are there also. Stop the war. So Prabhupada went, they invited him to United Nations building for a demonstration. Peace. Prabhupada made one little brochure. Called it the Peace Formula. Still we'd use this. It's a nice one actually. And it's just this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagatapasam. So, there is no peace in this world because there's envy. There's pride. As long as pride and envy are there, there will never be peace or satisfaction. Never. You can't avoid it in this world. That's the nature of this material world. Can't take it away. You can transcend it, but the world remains under the influence of pride and envy. So Prabhupada made this leaflet, and in this leaflet it says that the only peace is really another kind of peace. It's not an institutional, let's say, arrangement of the United Nations or something like that. Because you can see even within countries, even the flag bearer of so-called peace, believe it or not, America, you can see how much peace there is in America. It's probably the maddest place, practically speaking, on their own turf, People just walk into schools and shopping malls, isn't it? Look at the elections, you go, it's crazy. People are not peaceful. Because they're missing the point. It's not a legislation which causes peace or providing people with unending sense gratification. Reduce the taxes. Kill the enemy. Subdue the enemy. Force this? No. It has to be within. There will be no peace in this world as long as we're envious. It's not possible. As long as we have undue desires, there's no question of peace. I was seeing one peace rally one time. At the front of the peace rally, there was a man walking with McDonald's and he was eating a beef burger at the same time. Where on earth will there be peace? Who was that? John Sachs, one famous English poet, wrote that poem, wasn't it? We gorge ourselves upon the dead, and it goes on and on. And I can't remember. It's a very fascinating poem where he's talking about the correlation between animal slaughter or mistreating other living entities and war. Or, let's say, friction, quarrel, Kali Yuga quarrel. The only solution to this is the path of truth, the path of understanding. Who is the actual enjoyer? Who is the actual proprietor? Who is the actual friend of everyone? Then you can have Gyatva Shantim, peace. Shantim Richati. One who has this knowledge has real peace. So this was Prabhupada's peace formula. Not some political maneuver, some adjustment, but rather understanding things for what they are. And not this foolish childlike mentality of thinking and getting really upset when we lose what we want or we don't get what we want. Like a kid, spoiled kids. So this kind of a revolution, this is a real revolution. That we're not the enjoyer. We're not the proprietor of anything. Nothing belongs to us. This is the lesson being taught here of the danger of seeing ourselves in the center. I am the enjoyer. Then we take the karmic responsibility and we have to suffer as a result. Well, time is flying, and at 9 o'clock, the workers are coming in a few minutes, so we have to knock off. What are they doing today? They're fixing something here?
Emergency exit lights.
The emergency exit lights, not the exits up there. the lights, please try to make sure that they're in as aesthetic a position as possible. You know what that means?
What?
Aesthetic. As nice looking as possible. Not like they're a huge thing, stuck, right on the deity altar or something, right in the middle of the pillar there or something like that. Some massive thing hanging down from the ceiling, which you have to avoid banging your head on or something. As aesthetic as possible. This is the real. Kamadhenu is when we take shelter of Krishna. He satisfies all of our desires. It's not most people think that means, then he'll get me a job. He'll get me a nice husband, a nice wife. I need a new car, like that Porsche over there. A nice house somewhere in the Côte d'Azur somewhere. No, that doesn't mean that's not what it means. It means you'll have no more material desire. No more material desire. What does that mean? I don't exist anymore? No. Don't we realize that material desire leads to an intense endeavor to obtain things which never fully satisfy us and create friction and animosity in the long run, as well as karma? And still we're not satisfied. No, this is the cause of our suffering, not the cause of our happiness. So he releases us from that. But he doesn't just leave it like that, like a Buddhism or kind of impersonalism. No. He gives something much param drishtva navartate, a much higher taste. Something much sweeter. Can we imagine? Something more pleasant than sex. People ask, is there sex in the spiritual world? Otherwise I won't go there. Well, don't worry, you won't go there anyway. But not in your present mentality. But there's something much more pleasing than that. Spiritual sex is a whole different thing. It means bring pleasure to Krishna. And you do get a taste of that in the material to a little degree. When you satisfy somebody else genuinely, with less, let's say, intent to get something in return, more selflessly, we can experience another kind of happiness. It's not pure, but it's higher happiness in the material sense. That we help somebody. We try to please their senses. Of course, it's related to our own pleasure too. But selfless service to Krishna is the highest, because Krishna is so reciprocal. Imagine how you feel if somebody selflessly serves you without asking anything in return. How do you feel? You want to do something, right? Something good, I mean. You want to reciprocate with them. If you're a normal person. So what to speak of God? Krishna. So, unlimited happiness. The happiness of this world is just a reflection of that happiness. Ananda, bliss. You don't need anything in this world. Don't depend on it. We need to maintain this body as long as we're in it. But we don't depend on it. We depend on Krishna. That's where, without asking, real happiness comes. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Doesn't mean he gives you more money. He said he reward me. Where's my reward? Where's my money? Where's my pay? Not like that. It's really all we're looking for is happiness within. And if we have happiness within, there's what do you need without? With him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Dhanananda Maharaj ki
Jai Srila Prabhupada.